Everybody, and welcome to the last Cabinet meeting of 2022. Just before we start, a big Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all our staff partners and councillors. I do hope that we can have some Christmas spirit in today's meeting, which means we all have to smile and be nice to each other. So that's what I'm watching out for, I'm sure I won't be disappointed by most of you at least. Item number 1, apologies for absence, Stacey. Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest on the items on the agenda? Kelly.
I have just to say, I am on the homelessness one. I am a homelessness worker, but I've taken advice and I don't need to declare. But just to be clear that I am a homelessness worker. But it.
Thank you, Kelly.
No.
You don't think so? Okay. Cool. Excellent. We'll note those then. Item 3 is the minutes in the previous meeting. Those have been previously circulated. Are we all in agreement?
Move them, Chair.
Thank you very, very much indeed. Item 4 is leaders' announcements. I don't plan to say anything further than I've already said, so we'll move to item 5, which is the Ironbridge Gorge World Heritage Site, which is a cabinet report in Councillor Healy's name, but due to her being unwell.
No, this is mine.
Forgive me, Richard. You are right. It's the next one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So forgive me. So I was ahead of myself. Richard Overton.
Thank you, Sean. Cabinet, as you know, the Ironbridge Gorge World Heritage Site is an internationally recognised area of outstanding universal value and one of 7 designated conservation areas in the borough. UNESCO awarded the Gorge World Heritage Site status in 1986 in recognition of the area's record of innovation during the Industrial Revolution. The outstanding universal value of the area is captured in the many historical sites, landscapes setting out of the gorge and the social history of the area. The purpose of the World Heritage Site Supplementary Planning Document is to provide locally distinctive planning guidance to help protect the gorge and support sustainable development within the World Heritage Site. It will also help address climate change within the gorge area by providing residents and businesses with, for example, guidance on how to improve the thermal and energy efficiency of their homes. The World Heritage Site boundary extends into Shropshire, therefore the supplementary planning document will be used by both local planning authorities to help determine planning applications in their respective areas. The purpose of this report is to present the supplementary planning document to Cabinet for approval to consult. This will be followed by a 6-week period of public consultation engagement with stakeholders in the new year. The consultation period will include a series of public drop-in sessions throughout the gorge area. I believe the SPD will help us protect the outstanding universal value of the gorge, but also make it easier for residents to understand how best to bring forward sustainable development within the World Heritage Site. I therefore move the recommendations in the report.
Thank you very much. Is that seconded? Thank you. Any other cabinet members wish to comment? Eileen?
Just that I want to thank the team and officers for the work on this. I know it's an ongoing process and there's been a lot of work that's gone into this. I think it's 103 pages, the first version that we saw. I do welcome it. I welcome the consultation on this. I think it's going to be a really useful piece of work, and I know the World Heritage Site and the World Heritage Site status is really important to our borough. It's something that brings in huge amounts of tourism. It's a worldwide site of interest. So, and I think it's going to also benefit residents with the extra planning sort of considerations that they have to go through down in the gorge. It will benefit and give that clarity around that. It's a really important piece of work, and I think if we get it right, it will help protect that World Heritage Site on an ongoing basis. So thank you for all that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Member of the Cabinet? No? Group leaders?
Well, spirit of Christmas, I agree with Eileen, to be quite honest. Merry Christmas to you. I think anything that brings additional protection to the world, certainly planning terms, has got to be the right move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really welcome the fact it's going out to consultation to really, really find balance to protect the historic aspects of that site, but also take into account the people have to live practically their lives and run businesses, and trying to get the planning laws right on that is really difficult. So I welcome the consultation.
Thank you, Bill. Just very additional point for me, and to support Richard's point, really, a big thank you to the officers, but also to Shropshire Council for the work that we've done on this. It's been a good example, one of many examples where the two councils work at a strategic and operational level. So thank you to the teams and members at Shropshire Council too. Richard, anything
No,
you'd like
it's
to say?
fine. I think the team have done an excellent job on working, as you said, as partners with Shropshire on making sure that this is deliverable and it will make sustainable development happen in the Gorge as well, and residents will know what they need to do to make that happen. So.
Excellent. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Richard.
Item 6. Yeah. It's strange. I think 2015 I bought this for the first report of the Green Guarantee here, and now I'm doing it for Councillor Healy. So, Cabinet will be aware that the Green Guarantee programme is part of the Council's overarching commitment to promote accessible green space across the borough, and the importance of this programme as part of our work to protect, care and invest to create a better borough. Our green network covers approximately 2,500 hectares and is described as one of the largest scale, visually beneficial and informal recreation assets of any town in the country. Within our green network sits a range of statutory and non-statutory sites, including 108 hectares of SSSI, Site of Special Scientific Interest, 410 hectares of local nature reserves, 195 hectares of proposed local nature reserves, 513 hectares of local wildlife sites, some of which overlap with LNRs, and 557 hectares of existing Green Guarantee sites. This report will protect a further 82 hectares. We are on our residents' side in valuing and protecting our wonderful green spaces. As we know, the public value our green spaces, and we know residents value Telford Wrekin because of it being a green place to live. There are, of course, key health benefits derived from living close to accessible green spaces as well, as the sites being valuable to the wildlife they support, and that is why the Council is committed to recognising and protecting locally accessible green space. Cabinet will note this report seeks to designate a further range of sites, which would take the total number to 305. The new sites are a mixture of standalone and some that create extensions where we have been able to increase the area of protection. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Healy and the officers for their hard work and commitment developing this report. I know Cabinet will agree that this is fantastic work and demonstrates our commitment to protecting our important green spaces in Telford and Wrekin. I therefore move the recommendations as set out in the report.
Thank you very much, Richard. Is that seconded? Thank you very much. Members of the Cabinet, comments or questions? Contributions? Eileen?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Councillor Overton, and also to officers again for their work on this. I mean, we do understand the importance of green space in this borough, and I think it is something that we're doing particularly well, if I can say so myself. I know I've been on ward walks to sort of identify these different areas, and they're not necessarily huge green areas. There can be those small spaces in your communities that people find really important, where they go and have a walk, they spend their morning taking a walk with the dog. And I think it's those areas, when I look at sort of Ketley, the areas that we identified, you know, they're included in this. I'm really pleased to see that, because I know it's those small spaces that can make a real difference to communities. So I really welcome this. I think that the health and wellbeing benefits are plain to see for everybody, and COVID obviously highlighted just how important these spaces were, so I really welcome it. So thanks to Councillor Healy as well. I know she's not here, but I know she's done a lot of work on this, so thanks.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, I want to echo that, those thanks to both Councillor Healy and the officers involved in this. I mean, it's amazing when you walk around our town that you're only a couple of 100 yards away from a green space, wherever you are in our town, and I'm proud of that. And when I go to other places, people would wish for that, and this commitment we're making here to even more green guarantee sites is really, really important for us, and local people know the importance of those green spaces, know the importance for their health, for their mental health as well, and I think it's a really, really positive thing, so thank you.
Thank you. Shirley?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it is repeating what's been said, and it is thanks to the officers and Councillor Healy, like my colleague, being on ward walks with that, and the spaces we're identifying. It's not just the traditional, you'd think about, oh, your Harts Hill Park, or we're going sort of, you know, your Rough Park. It's actually those small little pockets of green space that are really important to a local community. I've got areas within my ward, it's a very small area, but it's where the local children play kickabout football, and it's really important to them that that doesn't get infill development, and that is still protected. And I think it just gives reassurance to our residents that those areas will be protected. But I think it's all about And we need to make really clear, which the report does, how much green space we do have in our borough. And as I think this was really brought home during COVID, a lot of people discovered for the first time the richness we had got around the borough of different areas, not just in their own ward, but actually, especially when it was posted on Facebook, they went somewhere else to see that, and for the first time they were discovering areas, going down to Dot Hill, going up to the Cockshut. We've got such fantastic wealth within the borough, and I just think this is really important, and it's our commitment to the town that this will continue. So thank you.
Yeah, I really, really welcome this. As Councillor Overton said, it started 7 years ago really as a policy, and has expanded since in terms of the number of sites, and I think allied with our continued investment into local play areas as well, and the paths network that get you from one green space to another. You know, example being the investment into the Silking Way that's ongoing is really, really, really welcome. As Councillor Reynolds has just said, we all know the value of these sites, and we learned that even more so during COVID. Places where we could just go and take a few minutes out, good for your health, but also your mind as well. And those spaces are really important. It's really, really significant that we'll protect these and hopefully more into the future as well.
Thank you very much. Group leaders, any comments for yourselves? Bill?
Yeah, I really do welcome this. Any added protection to our green spaces. And it's the green spaces, I think, in Telford that very often set Telford apart from places. And when people do move here, it's one of those things that get taken by the fact that, particularly in the more the older communities as well, the fact that those green spaces are put by. The one also factor within the green spaces in my own ward, I've noticed that the council are taking a more proactive approach, trying to balance where Shirley mentioned you need some just simple green spaces for all the kids around, but also in verges and in some green spaces where, you know, wildflowers are being planted, increasing the biodiversity. And I think we could look at that a little bit more, just see, you know, local surveys where people need it to kick a ball and just have green space at the top and where we can plant out. Because the initial planting costs money, but very often once it's planted you then save a little bit on grass cutting, and you can just leave those sites pretty much to themselves. So I would look forward to that, for those green spaces and that biodiversity.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also just echo the comments really that Telford and Wrekin as a borough is 70% rural, and that's something that I think sometimes, particularly those people who don't live in Telford and Wrekin, don't appreciate just how rural our borough is. And within our town itself, we've got huge amounts of green space right from the centre of the town park and the amazing green assets that we've got there, but spanned out then into more local nature reserves than we've ever had before, more areas of green protected space than we've ever had before in the towns and the borough's history. And as everyone else has said, those small pockets of green space is really important. I remember as a child having a green piece of field in front of our house, and it was just the place where local children played and was, you know, and got to know each other, and communities were forged. So they are really, really important. I want to thank Carolyn, but also thank the officers and Richard as well, and others for their leadership over the years on this, because I think it is really, really important. It's something we should all be very proud of, and I'm sure, and I'm looking forward to seeing more green spaces, more local nature reserves, more protected green spaces in the months and years to come. Thank you very much. That's been moved. It's been seconded. Everybody in favour, please? That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. Item 7 then is the indoor sports and leisure strategy for 22-2032. Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart, for this, for all of your hard work that's gone into this strategy and our leisure services as a whole. I know how much hard work our teams do every day. And also thank you to everyone that's engaged with the consultation and took part in the survey, and the consultants for their work. This report provides a summary of the new indoor sports and leisure strategy, including its key findings and recommendations. The strategy provides a framework to ensure the borough's indoor sports and leisure provision is able to meet future demand and contribute towards the delivery of council priorities, that every child, young person and adult lives well in their community. It's great to see this strategy focusing on both physical and mental health, and for all ages, and being jointly commissioned with Public Health, which recognises the important contribution our sports and leisure facilities make to the health and well-being of our communities. Research shows that physical activity can also boost self-esteem, mood, sleep quality and energy, as well as reducing stress. The Council has a duty under the Health and Social Care Act 2012 to take steps to improve the health of people in the area. This strategy being so effective is one way the Council can discharge its duty, which benefits people borough-wide. So the key findings were the Council's leisure facilities were all considered to be of good or excellent quality and well placed to serve residents' needs. Swimming pool modelling shows that the area with the highest unmet demand for swimming provision is Dorley or Madeley area, and that by 2031 demand is projected to be significantly greater than supply, resulting in capacity issues at Abraham Derby. Sports hall provision within the borough is identified as being sufficient and well located to meet current and future demands, and the health and fitness latent demand modelling shows there is potential for some membership growth and that the council facilities are well placed to meet this demand. So the key recommendations set out in section 4.2 of the report is that we should progress the provision of additional swimming pool space within the Dorley area, consider providing additional flexible studio space to provide for a range of wellbeing and community building activities, explore the potential for development of assisted exercise suite at Horsey, particularly for over 55s who are inactive, explore the development of paddle court provision at Telford Tennis Centre, and continued support of community-based initiatives to promote physical activity and help tackle health inequalities. The Council has already committed to investing 14 million of capital funding into the development and maintenance of its leisure facilities. The importance of this is shown in the survey responses, where some 89% of survey respondents said that improving facilities would encourage participation, and 42% of respondents were keen to do more exercise. The investment shows upgrades of equipment at Abraham Derby, Wellington and Sturchley centres, and vital maintenance at Horsey and the ski centre, also investment to replace the 3G artificial pitch at Oakengates. But where we stand apart from other councils is that only do we invest in our leisure facilities, that we invest in people's access to them, ensuring that only people who are members of our leisure services, but people in our communities that would not normally be able to do so, are able to attend. We invest in the health and well-being of our residents. In terms of the flexible studio space, this would allow assisted exercise for people who don't normally use our facilities and need an introduction. 2 facilities have been identified as requiring studio space: Lawley and Horsey Village Golf and Fitness Centre and Newport Swimming and Fitness Centre. Limited community space exists in the catchment area of Lawley and Horsey, and as such the development of a flexible studio could also potentially serve as a community centre. I ask for the Cabinet to support the recommendations in this report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Is that seconded? Excellent. Any comments or questions to members of the Cabinet? Lee?
I think again a really, really good strategy demonstrating what's been a difficult choice really in terms of investment into the fantastic leisure facilities we've got along Telford, in Telford and Wrekin. It's been very, very easy given the financial climate we've gone through over the last 10 years to outsource these. It was one of the first things that a lot of local authorities did. We took the opposite decision, actually invested in them, made sure that pretty much except in 1 or 2 exceptions, every area of Telford and Wrekin has got access to a good quality indoor leisure facility, and that's borne out by some of the feedback we've received here. It's fantastic that our community's got opportunities to access leisure activities in their locality. All of the stuff that comes from it, you talk about the health benefits, but also for young people that there's a lot to be gained from getting involved in team sport, communication, discipline, all the stuff that comes from that. So a fantastic array of facilities, and well done to the team as well, because I know in this environment it's really, really difficult and competitive. We've had a number of private providers, gym providers come into the town, and we've seen off that competition through professional management, but also continued investment. And just outside of that leisure point as well, and the benefits of leisure are also the fact that it employs people. It employs people as a job, as a vocation in those leisure centres. I think it's fantastic, and really proud that we've continued to outline investments into those brilliant facilities.
Thank you. Shirley?
Thank you, yeah. Echoing all of the comments my colleague has made, thank you to the officers for their continued work. You've only got to go into any of our leisure centres, and our staff are so passionate and caring with all customers whatever time they go in. But I think this leads to the wider agenda, and it's looking at the cost of living crisis that's going on. Our leisure offer is absolutely amazing. I mean, just looking at what you can do with your children for £1 over Christmas, but also looking at the wider, the 10 by 10 initiative that we've done, that really feeds into using our leisure centres. We've, you know, guaranteed all those free swimming lessons, and to know we've got over 200 that have already been taken up on it. And I've spoken to some of the families who are really excited with their child being able to go swimming for the first time and really enjoying it. And actually, if we hadn't got the choice of leisure centres, and that, I mean, I'm a member myself, the fact that you can, with our regime, we have lots of nights with lots of meetings. I can think, oh, am I going to go to Wellington tonight? Am I going to go to Open Gates tonight? Can I go to Abraham Derby? We're giving so much choice. This is where we can beat off the competition from the private investors, because actually our membership allows you to use a wealth of facilities across the whole borough. So it's just yet another way that we are helping families. And as you've said, we're also providing employment for an awful lot of families across the borough. So it really is an excellent investment.
Thank you, Shirley. Paul?
Yeah, this is echoing everything everybody else has said, but this is really showing that we as a council take our responsibilities as on that lifelong journey really, really seriously. It is easy, as Councillor Carter said, it would be easy for us to outsource things. It's harder to keep them in than it is to outsource them, in fact, and knowing what we offer that is different to anybody who, and we can only have to look across not too far from here to see where that hasn't worked for our people and for the people of the local community. So being sure that what we're trying to do with this is offer the right kind of services in the right places, not where it's going to be profitable, is really, really important, and that's what we've done across the borough. And can I say, just linking that to our health agenda and our mental health agenda, how important exercise is in that journey too. And we can do that because we've got these places across the borough, and we're planning for even more, so that's really, really positive.
Eileen?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Councillor Middleton and to officers. I know the work that goes on in the leisure department team, but this isn't just leisure. You know, the link into public health is something that was brought in when it was in my cabinet area, and I know that link is, for me, is the most important thing. You know, these are not just leisure services, these are not just leisure centres where we can go and enjoy a swim and go to the gym. This is something that people can use, and we are then going to help prevent further along the line having to pay for public health measures when people have got a condition, when they've you know, when you've got diabetes, or you're having you're carrying weight and you're risking heart issues. So these things are so important, and I think, you know, it's difficult when you call it a leisure place. You just think, oh yeah, it's somewhere really nice that we go along and we have fun. It's far more important than that, and I think this piece of work has been so important. I really, really do welcome it, and I think the fact that Telford and Wrekin do struggle with our activity levels, I think this is exactly the kind of thing that we need to address, that to make sure that future generations are addressing that problem early. So I really welcome it. Thanks.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you very much. Group leaders? Phil?
Yes, I really welcome this. Talked about a lesson in Morrison's the other day by Life Matcher to Lenny, to about 84, and it's far of it in mine. You can have a walk around the spaces where we live, and you play tennis with a colleague of the lady at Church of God. And our kids really, really enjoy swimming, and I know we're passionate about trying to make swimming more affordable, and I think you have pretty much delivered in terms of getting kids making it more affordable for all kids to go and learn to swim. It's such an important thing that you can get overlooked. So I'm really pleased. I just hope we have enough money in the future to sustain this. I really do, because it's a great what you're trying to do.
You?
No,
Thank you.
Well, this is one of the proudest legacies, I think, of the Labour administration since 2011, the investment in Telford Wrekin leisure services. I remember the first decision that I made as a cabinet member in 2011 was to save Telford Ice Rink from the then Conservative plans to privatise it and set it off to Planet Ice. It was something that was absolutely the wrong thing to do, and actually, as it turned out, it was the wrong thing to do because Planet Ice went bankrupt a few months later, and it would have made the ice rink an absolute mothball of an asset in the heart of our town. So our pedigree on leisure is immensely strong, whether that be the Telford Ice Rink, whether that be our swimming offer. And there is no council in the country that offers free swimming for under 25s, swimming for £1 for over 50s, and now I'm immensely proud that we are offering free swimming for our youngsters here in Telford and Wrekin too, together with all the other leisure activities that we've got here in our borough. It's something that other councils, has been said, have not only struggled to invest and fund, but have also sold off and closed, and that's something that we absolutely have not done here in Telford and Wrekin for the reasons that have already been mentioned. For me, this links into our youth offer. I think Telford and Wrekin Leisure Services are effectively the largest youth zone that we've got in our borough. It links into the prevention agenda, getting people fitter, more active. We work very closely with our GPs to refer people into our leisure services, and it's something that I think is nationally leading, that we should all be proud of. And also, I do think that this leisure strategy puts puts a wrong right, which is for almost 150 years. The birthplace of the first man to swim the English Channel, Captain Matthew Webb, has not had a swimming pool in that area, which I think is a stain on all our houses for allowing that to go on for so long. And I'm delighted that 84% of residents in the Dawley area are supportive of that leisure offer. It puts wrong a right, puts right a wrong in respect to the school that was built in Dawley High Street without a swimming pool, despite the fact that the old Phoenix School had a swimming pool historically. And I know that speaking to people in that area, not just those people who live in Dawley, but those who live in Dawley, Horsey, Aqueduct, Doseley, Mannersley, The Rock, all of that area. If you look on the consultation that's currently out, the 10-minute drive time encompasses a huge amount of central Telford that will be able to access that fantastic facility, and it also has the benefit of reducing demand on other swimming pools, particularly in the north of the borough and the south of the town. So it's a win-win-win, and worth every penny of the investment that we'll be putting in that facility. So I'm delighted. Kelly, thank you for your report. Have you got anything else that you want to say?
No, that's great, thank you.
So that's been proposed, it's been seconded. All those in favour? That's everybody. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Stuart. We'll now move to our final item on the agenda then, which is the homelessness and rough sleeping strategy. Councillor Warden.
Thank you, Leader. In the last year, over 3,000 people have approached the council needing housing advice, with close to 900 of these coming to us either as homeless or threatened with being so. This is a significant increase on the position in 2018, where 2,000 received advice and support, and around 400 we had a duty under the Homelessness Reduction Act. Sadly, the cost of living crisis is putting huge financial pressure on the households. We are likely to see more households at risk of homelessness without support. Telford and Wrekin Council, along with its partners, are providing intensive, joined-up service to support those living in the borough from becoming homeless and preventing the need to rough sleep. Whilst the scale of the challenge has grown, the number of clients that the service has prevented or relieved from homelessness has tripled, showing the success of the support provided to our residents around homelessness. Through our Everyone In for Good programme, originally established in response to the pandemic, we've supported over 500 people alone who would otherwise have ended up rough sleeping. Our new homelessness and rough sleeping strategy reflects our commitment to continue to work together with partners to prevent and tackle the root causes of homelessness and rough sleeping. It's integral to the council plan to protect, care and invest to create a better borough. The strategy was produced with a wide range of partners and those with lived experience of homelessness, who, by sharing their experiences, have helped us to improve the delivery of services. At the heart of our strategy is early intervention to prevent homelessness, understanding the factors that contribute to homelessness and providing joined-up support, whether this is to address family breakdown, debt, mental or physical health, or domestic abuse. I'm pleased to say that working across the services, we have a wide range of support already in place, including through the Mental Health Alliance, bringing together statutory and voluntary sector organisations, delivering mental health services, local services for those suffering from drug and alcohol addiction, and advice and support for those suffering from domestic violence and abuse. Through the strategy, we're committing to develop this further, continuing to improve the customer journey through regular sharing and learning across partners and through feedback from those with lived experience. Working with health colleagues to ensure that housing issues are raised on admission to hospital so they can be addressed before discharge. And working with education service and partners to develop a youth offer to continue to raise aspirations at an early age, linking to prevention of homelessness, and linking with local businesses to provide work experience, volunteering and employment opportunities for those working with us following homelessness and rough sleeping. We know how challenging it is for many people to find accommodation, and through our work with our local registered providers, housing associations, including Wrekin Housing Group, we are accessing more social housing for those in the greatest housing need. Our multi-agency Rough Sleepers Task Force meets daily to coordinate services to ensure that anyone sleeping rough is quickly identified and offered support and emergency accommodation with an outreach team funded by the council and delivered through Urban Kip and Stay. We've also funded 23 Housing First properties, supporting those who have been rough sleeping to move on, putting a roof over people's heads, combined with support to address the challenges they face, including a rapid mental health support scheme. We still need to access more accommodation, which is challenging, but as an authority we are delivering more rented homes, with a growing proportion being provided to those coming through our services. We also continue to lobby government for more investment to provide additional accommodation and provide long-term certainty we need around support services, too often subject to short-term funding commitments. We know there's more we can do, and as we see more people coming to us as the current economic situation impacts more and more on our residents, we intend to build on our existing partnerships with new multi-agency homelessness forum, including health and social care partners, with shared responsibility for delivery. Finally, I'd just like to thank the team, Tony and her team, and our existing partners for their pledges of support made during the development of this strategy. Tony and her team work constantly to ensure that our people are looked after. Some of our most vulnerable people in this town are looked after, and I attended the task group last week, and it's amazing how dedicated that team are. Our partners at Kip and Stay working together with us to find answers for people. And I'd want to share with the team that we respect everything they do. You see the recommendations. I'll move them, Chair.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you. Any comments or contributions, Kelly?
Just to say well done. I think it's a fantastic strategy and really reflects well the collaborative work across all the sectors. And I know that the task force meeting daily is quite unique, isn't it, across the country? To be meeting daily still like that, it's amazing. So, and the work to tackle health inequalities is vital to tackle homelessness. You know, that whole person approach. You can't tackle homelessness without tackling that. And I think mental ill health, addiction, they're all hugely relevant factors in homelessness. Without that approach, people wouldn't be able to sustain a stable accommodation. So I think it's really important that the approaches you've taken will have a really positive effect on people. So I support this, and well done. I know you do amazing work. So.
Right.
Thank you, Leader. you talked about things that you were very proud of with this administration, and this is one that I'm proud of. It's one of those things that when you're not thinking about it and you go about your daily life, you don't think of. You just don't think of until you turn a corner and there's somebody who clearly is homeless and in trouble. And that particularly is striking when you go a few miles up the road, you know, and you see such an awful difference. I'm proud of the work we do here. I think it is incredible. This particular report shows that we've got an integrated approach across the organisation. It's our partnership working at its best, which we do so well. I personally have had the misfortune, perhaps for the individual concerned, to phone the emergency number, and you always get a response, and you get a kind response, because sometimes it's a little bit unnerving when you phone as the individual. You don't know what the circumstances are of the person who's asking for help, and there's always a response, and it's always quick. I just think it's something we should be so proud of. Shirley?
Leader, just to echo my colleagues' comments, I can't thank the team enough, and I know the work they do is absolutely vital, but they are really, really dedicated. And taking on a point that Councillor Evans said, I actually used this service myself just 2 weeks ago. I was in Oaten Gates, it was after the Christmas lights, and everybody had gone home happy, jolly, and we were walking away and we were by the theatre, and there was a young man there. He was obviously in distress, made a beeline for my husband and said, I want help. He got nowhere to go that night, and we did turn to your service. We used that number and we stayed with him, and within less than an hour somebody was with him and he got a bed for the night. He was so grateful, and he just said, and I'll be honest, he got off the train at Oaten Gates because he'd been told if he came to Telford he'd get help. If he went further up the line somewhere else he wouldn't, and he was so grateful. He'd recently been released from prison, and there'd been no follow-up. He'd got nowhere to go, no bed for the night, and we went away that night knowing he'd got somewhere to stay, and it's something I'm incredibly proud of. The fact that we've continued with our everybody in, and there's always a bed for the night. I think that's one of the proudest things this administration, and it means such a difference, because as you say, you don't notice it yourself, but that happened, and I knew I'd be able to deal with it. And there can't be many councillors across the country who are insecure in the knowledge that if they come across somebody like that, they're going to be able to get help, and get help quickly. So please pass on my thanks to your team, because I saw the difference it made that night. Thank you.
Lee?
Yeah, I'd echo all of that. It's as Councillor Evans said, it's one of the best things that we do. It's very sad that we do it, but we do it in a way that's comprehensive, that's compassionate, and it's quite clear that there's always more we can do, and that there's always other ways that we will look to do and provide this service. It's reassuring as a resident. I'm hoping residents find it as a source of reassurance that we approach this in this compassionate way, in this comprehensive way. We've all quoted examples, but as an example recently where a local business phoned me, there was a young kid sleeping in a bus stop, and raising it with officers here within 20 minutes, they reassured me that they were on the case, that they were helping. They couldn't have prevented this incident, but they were reacting in exactly the right way, in a positive way. And I think there are two other schemes that are allied to this, both New Place and Telford Wrekin Homes. Significant, tough decisions by this administration, significant investments that deliver lots of other benefits to residents, but in this instance enable us to flex our support, add another tool to help combat this. So when we're all chucking rocks at each other about capital programmes, and whilst some people are out there creating silly little memes about council debt, perhaps they want to take a second to think about some of those capital investments, some of those investments into things like New Place and Telford Wrekin Homes, and the wide range of benefits that they offer. I think really officers should be, and cabinet members should be really, really proud of the work here, but we all are quite clear it's a service that's going to be demanded more over the next couple of months, but those same basic principles of being absolutely comprehensive, delivered with compassion, and clear that we can always do more. I think that's a great testimony to you all. Richard?
Yeah, thanks, Leader. I mean, having had this portfolio before, it's key that the team have always go and push the boundaries, you know, to try and deliver for those most vulnerable people. I mean, you know, it doesn't happen to a lot of people, but there is a lot of, there are the people it does happen to through either crisis or their vulnerability, the people we need to help. And, you know, as Councillor Evans says, you go up the road, it's more visible than it is here, because our team do a fantastic job of making sure that we get those people off the streets. And, you know, I know that when we had the Telford 50 and through the leader and the funding allocation we gave through Telford 50, because it was a key issue of ours, and it is something I'm very proud of, how the team continue to deliver and try and make sure people are off our streets and have somewhere safe and well. And as Lee says, it isn't just about partnership work with our external partners. The council, cross-council, the new place, Telford Wrekin Homes, through the Housing First model, we're trying to deliver and do our best for our residents. And it's something I'm really proud of, that the team, Tony and team, as a council, you get in touch with them and they're on the ball straight away, trying to make sure that that person is seen, is found somewhere safe and well. And this report, the strategy will build on that and make it, you know, if you look at the future, what we will do further, it shows that we're committed to even keep pushing those boundaries to make sure the most vulnerable in our town have somewhere safe and well.
Thank you, Richard. Group leaders. Andrew.
Yes, I'd like to comment on this if I can. Certainly the government's manifesto commitment to eradicating rough sleeping is absolutely right. And I think what this council is doing in that direction to achieve that is pretty exceptional. And certainly the weekly meetings of the Rough Sleepers Task Force, I think that's probably quite unique, as has been said. It is, I mean, we're judged, aren't we, really, by that sort of indicator, how many people are sleeping right. And quite clearly, the work that's being done here is absolutely right and supported totally and fully. I've got one question here, if I can. I noticed funding right the way through the report, and certainly revenue funding through to 2025. But it is the issue of the rapid mental health support scheme that I'm concerned with. Is that saying that scheme is funded until December 22, which is where we are at the moment? Now, the two, with rough sleeping and certainly with those sort of challenging problems, they go hand in hand. So to deal with the one, we certainly need to have a look at the mental health side of it, and what we can do to make sure that that is funded. So what I've got a question there is, what happens after this month, in December 2022?
Bill?
Yes, I really welcome this report. It couldn't come at a more apt time before Christmas, really, when we're all thinking about things with nice things to have. And yet how important it is for someone actually to simply have a roof over their heads and somewhere safe to stay. One request I would make is leaving at councils like me, is to make me more aware of if people do approach me, if I do see a need, how I can contact the team. If it's on the website or whatever, then drop us an email and let me know. But I'm really taken aback by the amount of work that we do. It's really, really heartwarming. And I know this sounds a bit tough, but I think for a lot of people you might represent this is Christmas. And I just want to thank you and your team around for all that you're doing, really, because it's really important work that you are doing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Before I come to you to answer the particular question, I think for me this is one of those ultimate friends and family tests. How would we want our friends or family to be treated in the circumstances that they aren't able to find a bed for the night for whatever reason? And there's lots of reasons why people may find themselves in that position. For most people, they are a salary check away from being unable to pay their rent or mortgage, a relationship breakdown, domestic abuse and violence, mental health, drugs, alcohol, all of those things that we all are aware of could affect any member of your family or any member of your friendship group. And the test that we set ourselves here as a Labour administration is, how do our services respond to that friends and family test? And for me, I'm convinced that I would be I would be happy with the service that's been provided. I do think that Andy Burnham stole a march on us in terms of his communications around everyone in, because we were doing that well before he was, but I'm happy that Andy's following our lead. And the point is that for many parts of the country, Bill, the service provision around this agenda goes up at Christmas but goes down in the new year. In Telford Wrekin we have a 365-day approach to homelessness and street sleeping, and we also, as other members of the Cabinet have mentioned, it's a whole picture approach for us. It's better homes for all, and making sure that the demands that we have in the system are met by supply, whether that be through social housing, through working with our trusted partners, including Wrekin Housing Group, whether that be a decent private sector a product through New Place, Telford Wrekin Homes, whether that be taken on and prosecuting bad private landlords and banning them from being a private landlord. It's all of those things taken together, and I don't know about other members of the Cabinet and those in the room, but I have been absolutely astonished over the last few months, just the number of people who have mortgages who are approaching me and the council for support because of the Conservative mortgage premium tax that was put on as a result of Liz Truss's disastrous handling of the economy, and also issues around how complex our casework is going on. We've now got people. I had a resident in my ward last week, a Ukrainian who was brought to this country where the placement had broken down, and as a result of that had to present as homeless to our council, and we rapidly put a support package in place in that example, and that's again as a result of failure of government policy. And just two more things, if I may. A massive thanks to our team, absolutely, and I echo everything that's been said, but also a massive thanks to our trusted partners. Unlike many other councils in the country, we don't rely on Serco or G4S. We rely on micro organisations in Telford Wrekin who know Telford, who care about Telford, and who invest in Telford every single day, and that's something that I think enhances our offer, and working with private landlords who are decent and who are providing decent standards. And just finally, by reporting, you're supporting, and people should ring 384 if they see somebody on the streets, street sleeping. And indeed, if you are on the edge of homelessness, which is something that actually is hidden, you don't see that often, but through my inbox and other people's inboxes, that's where people come forward, then people should approach us for help, because by talking, we can support. Paul, did you want to pick up that particular question?
Yeah, I do. I just want to say thank you to both leaders for the opposition for their comments. It's really positive to have a unified approach to this very complex issue, and it is very complex. And I welcome what the government has done in terms of some of the funding that has come to Telford Wrekin to help us with that. So I acknowledge that, but they can do more. And the more that they can do is ending no-fault evictions, because for us that is a huge issue that could be sorted, and I would ask you to lobby your MPs to make sure that happens to us for us in the future. The issues are really complex. Just to say, Andrew, our team meet daily. Our multi-agency team meet daily, not weekly. So I mean, and the detail that they go through in terms of offering the right kind of support is really important. In terms of the mental health issues, we can say that is sorted from now. It's not disappearing at the end of December. So the detail of that, Catherine,
yes,
is.
We've had confirmation of additional funding through the mental health services. It is, as Paul said, only for I think a couple of years, but that is the nature of the funding for these services. It's come through the I think it's the mental health.
Yeah, Midland Partnership Foundation Trust, so MPFT, and we've also got some funding through RSI funding, so we could be able to extend that if we go a bit longer as well, and hopefully lobbying to get that even further than the 2 years as well.
Yeah.
I think the issue about the short-term nature of it, as you said, Andrew, is really important for us in terms of how we can keep this going, because we can't keep it going just with our core funding. You know, we have to look for funding from other places. The partnership we have with health and our trusted partners across the town is incredible, and I would want to thank them totally. The amount of work that they do to keep people safe in this town is incredible. You only do have to go to. I mean, I was in London just this week, and it's just telling that we don't have that kind of thing in this town, and it's because of our partners as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just say finally on the mental health support that actually that's another excellent example of us pioneering an approach. So it was funded by Telford at 50 funding, which didn't receive cross-party support, you'll remember, and actually it was something that is now being regionally and nationally recognised as good practice. And interestingly, as a result of our lobbying as a council, we've secured that funding taken in place. But I just want to end with 2 points. First, we're seeing yet again the government cutting local authority funding across the country. Inflationary pressures are wiping out any type of benefit that this council is seeing, putting at jeopardy huge amounts of capital programming. And we do need to realise that we will always stand on the side of our residents. We'll always provide that shield. That shield's not only dented, in parts it's broken. And we do need a change of government so that we can, or a change in the relationship between local and national government to achieve that. And finally, Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a fantastic break and a happy New Year. And I look forward to seeing you in the 2023 for what will be an exciting few months, I'm sure. So it's been proposed, it's been seconded. All those in favour? Excellent. Okay.